Hey there, hi there. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing good? Sue
Doing
Doyle, you doing
great.
good? John, everybody here? All right. Oh, we got more coming in. Kylie's coming in. Well, it's going to be a party. Kylie, troublemaker. All right. So we got a whole bunch of people here. We got, let's see, I'll go ahead and make sure we're fired up correctly on Zoom here or on Facebook. That's the word I'm looking for. There it is. We'll get that. We'll get this. There you go. All right. So look at everybody. Look at this. This is great. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. We are going to be talking today about using your Mac productively. So a little bit of background on this. Do you guys know here? Let me make sure that the screen sharing is set to this one. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. I've been using a Mac for 18 years. Well, 20 if you count back into the day. Before I used a Mac, I was always on PC. I built PCs. I was on the Windows beta teams for many years, but I switched to a Mac because I found it to be a little bit less intense, less work for me. But over the years, Mac has added so many new features that they're kind of back to where it's just a lot going on, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming to try and figure out what's where and how to make the most out of this. So I thought I'd do this class to give you guys a really good idea of basically super duper tips to make your life easy. So are you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So, quick question in the room, John. How long you had a Mac?
Oh, probably 7 or 8 years,
Oh,
give or
okay.
take.
How do you feel? You feel comfortable, confident? What do you feel?
Um, yeah, I got a lot to learn, but I'm gaining every day.
All right, Kylie. Same question.
So, gosh, I think my first introduction with a Mac was my very first computer, which was an Apple IIe.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
You should be
yeah.
teaching this class.
No, I should not. I totally should not. But yes, Apple IIe that had like all the weird, awkward things and the floppy disks with like the hole in the center. When you and Zoe were talking about that and like the morning quick start, I was laughing. I was like, yeah.
Oh my God, Apple IIe. I
Yes.
remember that well. Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
Went to high school in Wolfboro. We didn't even have computers in high school. We
Oh,
had word processing class. So,
word
but
processing. Yep.
yeah,
Oh
I've
man.
done work with Macs throughout my professional career with design for many years, probably almost about maybe like 18 years or so.
Wow, that's
So,
great. Okay, so you probably have a pretty good handle. Hopefully, I'll be able to give you guys some really good tips here. Now, I am considered a power user, and what that really means is not that I'm smart. It's just that it means that I tend to go into places and go, "What can this do? What can that do?" And I try to find places to make my life easier, and many times I incorporate those things that I find into my daily routine. And that's what I'm going to be showing you guys here today. So you guys, you can all see my Mac screen right here.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of information for you guys. What you're seeing on your screen is actually the third MacBook in my stack of MacBooks over here. What I've done is I've set up remote sharing so that MacBook is what you see, but I'm actually running two Macs separately over here. And one of them is the class information and Facebook, and the other one is what I'm doing to run the video and all that. So I'm running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 7 different Mac machines here, not including my wife's one, which is downstairs. And the way I'm able to do this to show you without my Mac screen, which is all got garbage all over it here because of the production that I'm doing right now, you're just seeing a nice, clean MacBook screen. And I'm going to make it even cleaner by doing the first thing that I recommend to begin your journey to productivity on the Mac, which is get rid of the screensaver, get rid of the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this, and this is running, I think, Mojave. What version of this? This is, well, I don't even know what we're on now. Monterey, which is a beautiful area. If you've never been to Monterey, it's a gorgeous area. When I right click on the background, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff here by choosing change desktop background. Now, I'm clicking in an area outside of anything on the screen. So when I choose that, it's going to open up your settings window. And in the settings window, you have on the left-hand side, your Apple desktops, colors, and any folders that you want to make as desktops, including photos and stuff like that. Now, you don't have to live like this, but what I do recommend is while you're starting to try and get your journey together to become more productive, get rid of anything on the background and go bland, and it will help you to get rid of distractions and focus. Now, if you're a psychotic individual, choose a red background. If you're absolutely ready to murder someone, go ahead and choose that. Otherwise, try and pick something that's a little bit more relaxed. I like a nice neutral gray or a little bit of a darker gray, but only only a madman would choose that. But so we're going to choose a nice, simple gray background here. The other thing we're going to talk about is we have screensavers on the Mac, just like on the PC. I never use a screensaver. One of the things that screensavers tend to do is, you get the mouse, and if you're not using a screensaver right, moving the mouse kind of sometimes jumps the network connection. And so if you've got web pages open, or if you've got things you're looking at online and it goes into screensaver mode, I've found over the years that sometimes when you wake it from a screensaver, sometimes the network can get a little wonky. Although my settings here have all been adjusted so that this particular machine never goes to sleep. The screen stays on, the screensaver is off, the machine never powers down. This one here is used specifically for video processing and stuff like that. So it's always on. Now, I do not recommend that for most people. When I talk about some of these things, the way I do them is not necessarily the way that you should do them. But make sure your screensaver is off, and then you can set the machine to go to sleep after a bit if you want, but not using the screensaver. I'm not a real big fan of the Mac screensavers for that reason. So all of those things happened, those two things happened because we right-clicked on the desktop and we chose change desktop background. And then when we were in here, we have those two tabs, desktop and screensaver. And I just kind of set those up there. Okay. Now you'll notice that with the box that we're in right now is actually our settings box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. I'm going to reopen it the long way, so to speak. Now you notice on my desktop here, I've got no icons here. I got a folder here, and I've got my hard drive up in the upper right-hand corner. But other than that, there's nothing on the desktop, including down at the bottom of the screen, you don't even see my dock with all of my icons. My dock is currently set to hide when not in use. So to activate my dock, I go down to the bottom of the screen, move the mouse just off this kind of the edge of the screen, and the dock comes back. So I want to talk about the dock and this system preferences here. So I'm going to bring up the system preferences dialog, and the system preferences is the gear icon in the dock at the bottom of the screen. Usually it's locked to the left-hand side. Sometimes you can find it at other places, but normally it's over there. Okay, so in the system preferences area, there's a couple of things that we want to think about. Number one, we talked about the desktop and screensaver, which is the second one here. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a few of these settings just to make it so that your system is a little bit more simplified, something that's a little bit easier to work with. So I'm going to start on the left-hand side here. We're going to choose the general settings here. Now, if you're using a newer Mac, one of the things that the new Macs have is it's called dark mode. And you have an option here for light, dark, or auto. Now, I use dark mode very rarely. I use it when I'm doing video editing on one of my machines because it keeps the glare down. But usually I leave it in light mode just because I like the lighter background of the boxes here. I feel a little, I don't know why, but I feel a little bit claustrophobic when it's dark. I'm just used to it being light and being easier to see. So you can change some colors here. You can do some neat things with all of that. Again, this is all just personal preference. There's nothing in here that I want to worry about except for default web browser. Now, KW recommends that you use Google Chrome. And the main reason is because our system is built on the Google platform. So you can change your default browser here, and I recommend setting it to Chrome. Don't confuse that with some kind of law or rule or requirement. Okay, some people like Safari, some people like Firefox. I get it. I troubleshoot Chrome for any problems that people have. So if you're having an issue with something that you're doing on your machine and it's in Safari or Firefox, I guarantee you that if we get together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see that you have Chrome installed, and then I'm going to test the problem in Chrome. And if the problem still exists in Chrome, then I would say that, we have an issue. But if the problem doesn't exist in Chrome, I'm going to leave you to your own devices to figure out why Firefox or Safari isn't doing it, because I don't troubleshoot those. I don't know them well enough to worry about them. So if you're having trouble, try it in Chrome, and because that's what I'm going to do. So I set Chrome as the default browser here. I do use Safari when I want to have a completely isolated view of something. So let me give you an example of, as a real estate agent, why you would want an isolated view, something that is not your normal browsing methodology. So let's say one of your clients calls you up and says, listen, I opened up that DocuSign image or that DocuSign document you sent me, and it's not doing this. Try it in Chrome. So you as the agent, try it in Chrome, see if it works, and maybe you can walk them through that way. But what I also recommend is trying it in Safari to see if you can replicate the problem from a totally independent browser, because they might be using Firefox, Safari, they might be using Microsoft Edge, and we're going to talk about that next week when we do the PC class. But this gives you an opportunity to see what they're seeing without all of your personal settings in the way. Kind of a neat way to do your own troubleshooting. So I prefer that you guys set Chrome as your default, only because it's easier for me and it doesn't make it so that you have to bounce back and forth. But again, personal preferences, I understand. So you're good to go there. So there's the general settings. Those are the only one I want to worry about there. We're going to talk about some of the sidebar stuff in a little bit, but we'll come back here. So notice that what I did was when I was on the general settings, I can click up here at the top of the settings bar. There's a little grid here, and I can click show all. And that takes me back to show me all of the system settings. So in the system settings, there's not a lot that I want to show you except for in the displays area, and we're going to talk about some other stuff. So I want to jump down to displays. Many times when I'm working with agents, their desktops are massive. And what that means is they're zoomed way in. So when you go to your displays setting, check to see if the resolution is set for default for display or scaled. And when it's scaled, you can actually increase the size of the text on the screen by using larger text, or you can even go the other direction and increase the amount of area on your desktop. And you can see here, when I do this, I'll go ahead and make this screen so you can see it. I end up with a massive desktop, but everything's super tiny. So it makes it really, really hard to focus and see that way. So I'm going to go back. I have to scroll way up to get away from that more here. Most people would be fine with default for display. Okay, so if it's not set to that, try some of the other settings to see what's comfortable for you. Sometimes I have to go in and make changes to the way that you're seeing your display just so that I can see the display. So try to use default for display when possible, and if you're comfortable changing it, go ahead and do it. But check them out, try them out, see what happens, and you'll find most of the times that the scaled ones, unless you're using a very large monitor, they can be a kind of a pain in the ass, quite frankly. Okay. Oh, look at this. Universal control has been added. So, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. There is a feature. Was it already 13? It is 12.3. It came out. Okay, I'm going to nerd out on you for a second here. So in 12.3, which clearly just came out this week, I know that my machine's updated, but I didn't pay attention to what version it was. They added this tool called Universal Control. And I haven't worked on it because I didn't even know it was in this particular release. But this allows me, if I have two machines, which I clearly do, including my iPad to my left and the two iPads that are behind me, this allows me to move my mouse from one computer to another and control that computer with no extra cabling, no extra nothing. It just works. So I can copy from one machine to another. This isn't about displays, because you can hook up multiple displays to a computer and just move from display to display by moving the mouse. I'm talking about a single mouse and keyboard moving between your iPad, your computer, and another computer. That's pretty cool. So I haven't even played with it yet, so I'm not even going to try and demonstrate it here because, quite frankly, don't know how to use it yet fully, but that's cool that it came out. So if you do have multiple computers, and simply put, if you've got an iPad and a computer, you can now work between them with one keyboard and mouse. So that's just a little bonus thing that I just saw there. All right, so let's come back here into this area. Now let's talk about your sleep, your energy savings. So in here, we got a whole bunch of stuff, and we've got down here your battery. So we're going to talk about this because what happens a lot of time is their batteries will get old. And if you've got an older machine, you should be checking this. I have the oldest machine that I have here. The battery level is hovering about 20%, and I've changed the battery like 3 or 4 times in that thing, and it just doesn't last anymore. If that's happening, it's really important to pay attention to that, because if you take your computer off of your desk and you have 100% battery, but the battery isn't staying charged anymore, you could get to someone's kitchen table and turn on your machine or open your machine, and you have 2% left and you didn't do anything. So make sure that your battery has got a good, healthy life left in it. If it's a newer machine, you're going to be fine. But if it's an older one, consider taking it to the Apple store or someplace and replacing the battery or replacing the computer. I don't like talking about replacing computers because that's a lot of money. But always check your battery to make sure that your battery is in good shape there. And you got a little battery icon here, and we're going to go to that and talk about your displays. Now you see here, I mentioned that this machine is always set to being 100% on. The display never goes to sleep. The hard disks never go to sleep, and nothing. I do not recommend that. Again, the only reason I'm doing that is because these are a little bit older and they're kind of on their last legs. One of them is fairly new, but this really puts a stress on machines. So it's having your displays turn off after a shorter period of time, a couple of hours or whatever. That's kind of a healthy thing to do. Let the machine go to sleep. Let the displays go down. Now let's talk about that. My wife is notorious for finishing her work and just shutting her laptop, and then she'll leave it on the counter, plug it in or do whatever, and then she'll do that for weeks on end without restarting the machine. You need to shut it down and restart it every once in a while. Macs and PCs, a lot of updates that run in the background, a lot of just cleaning of the machine internally, the way that it's designed to keep itself functioning. Sometimes it needs a restart. And sometimes not restarting it can kind of clog up the works where it's needing a restart and 15 things are piled up going, hey, when is this machine going to restart? Because we need to get all this cleaned out. Not restarting your machine can introduce problems. So restart your machine at least every few days. I restart my main machine every day. Every single day when I'm done, I shut it down, I turn it off, and then the next morning I restart it. And if I ever have a problem, I restart the machine. So productivity wise, if you seems like your machine's running slow and you're not connected to the internet, maybe using Microsoft Word, and it seems like it's running slow, save your work and restart your machine. That's going to be the number one thing to do, to just give it a shot. Okay. When I'm on power adapter here, all I'm doing is, again, this particular machine is always on, but I do not recommend that either. Make sure that you give the machine time to kind of do its thing. Take it and unplug it once in a while. If you've got a machine that's always plugged in and you've connected it to a monitor, go ahead and unplug the power and let the battery die. The systems need that conditioning of the battery to keep it so that the battery stays like in better health longer. So go ahead and let it die every once in a while, and then plug it back in and let it power up. Okay.
Hey,
So
Siri,
those,
can you turn on those kitchen lights, please?
yes, you can.
I was just asking Siri to turn my kitchen lights on. Sorry. Nope, sorry.
That's funny. Okay, so there's a couple of things in here. There's not much more that I want to kind of worry about in here, but I will show you before we go on to some of the other tools here in this security and privacy box. If any of you have done one-on-one meetings with me, what you'll find is when I try to have you share your screen, the system will pop up a warning and it says you need to adjust your security and privacy settings to allow this connection from Zoom to come through. And it will ask you to open this particular dialog, the security and privacy. So to set those settings, and you don't have to do it now, you don't have to worry about it, but be aware that there's a lock in the lower left-hand corner and that when you click it, it's going to ask you for your system password. Your system password is the password you use to log onto your computer. You'd be surprised how many people say, I don't know my password. And what that instantly tells me is that they're not restarting their machine, because they're just letting it sit on, and that almost invariably causes problems with their own world. A lot of issues come from not restarting. So when you do see this system preferences, you should know your system password. This is the one that, maybe it's, if you've got a fingerprint Mac, you can touch the fingerprint. If not, you need to know that password. You should always have that one because that's your login. That's like the big kahuna to get into your computer. Okay. After that, you'll be able to put checkboxes into the particular programs that are asking for permission. And in this case, it would be me and Zoom. So security and privacy, that's got those lock. And then on the right-hand side, it'll tell you what you need to do. And then when you're done, you can just go ahead and click the red button. If you've come from a PC and you're used to a PC, PCs close Windows on the right corner. There's a little X. It's in the right upper corner. Macs close Windows on the left upper corner. Macs also close Windows with Control or Command W. So if you've got Windows open, let me go ahead and I'm going to open up, let's say we're going to open Chrome, and we're going to open a PDF window here, and I'll say we'll open Word. So we got 3 different things that I'm opening up from my tools at the bottom of the screen. When you're in a program, those little buttons will light up when that program is active. And again, you can click those, but if you're, some people like, that's a small target to hit. If you want to get that target, you can just hit Command W. If you've got the window active, Command W, and then Command W. Command W closes Windows. So it's a nice fast way, especially if you're trying to refocus your mind and stop working on a cluttered desktop. Command W to get rid of things. And if a program has a document that's unsaved, if you try to hit Command W, it will stop you and say, hey, you've got an active document. Do you want to save it? Okay. So Command W is a very, very cool friend. So now that we're down to the desktop and we've got all of our programs down on the dock, Command W did not close the programs. It put them down here on the dock and it minimized them and it got rid of the active windows. But you can see down on my dock here that I have Google Chrome running. I got my little messages app running. My Zoom window is running. My PDF expert is running and my Word is running. How do I know that? Underneath each of those icons is a tiny little black dot. And that tiny little black dot tells you that the program is running. So when you're looking at your desktop and you're like, what's running? Where is stuff? The black dot underneath the icon tells you that something's running. So now check this out. I'm going to put my mouse in the center of the screen. I'm not going to touch anything. And I'm going to tap Command. I'm going to hold down the Command key. And I tapped the Tab key and released it. So let me show you that again. You can't see it on the screen, but what I did was I held down the Command key and I tap and released the Tab key. So Command, Tab. And what it does is it brings up an application switcher. Now my finger is still on the Command key, and now I can use the Tab key to move between the open programs. And when I find the program that I want to interact with, all I do is release the Command key, and now you can see up here in the toolbar, Word is currently the active program. So let me go ahead and bring up, I'll do a new document in Word. Let's say we'll do April classes, a nice old one here. Of course, it needs a new one. So let's bring this up. Let's bring up a blank document, And we're going to put in my favorite equals RAND, open and close parentheses, to get some text in here. Yeah, equals. Oh, look at me. Bye, Office. It's asking me to sign. This is how long it's been since I used that version. My old stuff. Oh, it's so nice to see my old thing again. All right, there we go. Yes, I know. Thank you. Okay, so equals RAND, open and close parentheses, boom. So if you're ever needing filler text, there's a neat little, this is totally nothing to do with the productivity. It's just totally nerding out. There is a shortcut to add text. It's equals symbol, RAND, and an open and close parentheses. That is a word power user's trick to add random text to your document so that you can have placeholder text in there. So little tidbit for you. Equals RAND, open and close parentheses, and then hit enter. All right, so as I mentioned, when we hit Control or Command W, that will automatically come up and say, hey, you haven't saved this document. So I'm going to go ahead and save the document. And then it's going to say, where do you want to put it? I'm going to put it on the desktop. I'm going to put it in the horrible place, the desktop. No. Yes, I'm going to do that. And then it goes away. So now remember what I said though, Windows is still, our Word is still running because I can see the black dot underneath there. Now I can come back into Word and do what I need to do. So I want to kind of point out that to close a program, we could click the little red button, but it doesn't close the actual program. Command W and that little red button don't stop the program from running. All it does is just basically shut it down off the desktop. To close a program proper, you need to go to the menu for the program and either choose quit from the program or choose Command Q. That's the actual tool to close a running program. So why would we close something versus doing it as just Command W or hitting the red button? Storage and memory. Not all of you guys out there are absolute nerds like me, where my MacBooks that I buy, I max out the hard drive and I max out the memory and I max out the video cards. And my Macs usually end up costing thousands of dollars. You don't have to spend that much. For the lower cost Macs, you can get away with a lot of work if you close the programs that are running. So when you're ready to close a program, hit Command Q, and that will shut the program down and no black dot will be underneath it on the toolbar, on the dock. Okay, so close your programs with Command Q, close the windows or move them down to your desktop with Command W. All right.
Robert,
So-
I have a really quick random
Sure.
question. Sorry to interrupt. I know with some of my Macs, when they have gotten like on their last leg, certain programs won't respond and you have to do a force quit. Do you know what that command
Yes, I do.
to force quit is?
It's the L. Okay.
The L,
So
okay.
here's the shape. Here's the shape.
Yeah.
What you're going to do is you're going to go Command and you're going to use your thumb and also touch the Option key and you're going to tap the Escape key. So it's Command, Option, Escape.
Escape.
Okay.
I thought that was force quit, but good.
Yep.
Good to know.
All right. And that will force quit. Like if I'll bring a Chrome up here. Okay. And it's, well, okay. So that's weird because it's actually trying to force quit the machine that I'm on, not the machine that's over
God.
there. So
Wait,
that's,
no, we
that's
don't
kind
wanna
of
do that.
funny. No, I don't want to do that. Yeah. So yeah, that's, it's doing it. It keeps on popping up over here going, you want to force quit this one? No. If you have a program that's not responding, you can use the force quit. So it's Command, Option, Escape. And I'll see if I can get it. Yeah, it's bringing it up on my machine. It doesn't want to do it on the remote. So that's kind of funny. I never tried to force quit on a remote machine. That's funny. Okay, so now let's get into some organizational things to make your life a little bit easier. Number one, when you're on the desktop, and remember, I've got a clean desktop here, and I know that some of you don't have super duper clean desktops, but I'm going to show you some things about how we can make a desktop a little cleaner. So I'm going to bring all of these files that are out in a folder, and I'm going to put them on the desktop. These are all just little video things. You'll notice that when I try to drag a file away into the middle of the desk, it pops back. It won't allow me to manually rearrange the desktop. In my opinion, you should never manually rearrange the desktop because all it does is increase clutter. But if you want to do some things with your desktop to organize or disorganize them to the way that you want to do it, here's how you're going to do it. On the desktop in an area where there's no files, if you right click, you'll see a show view options. Okay. And in the show view options here, you'll see that it's looking at my desktop right now because that's the options area that I selected. And it says stack by, sort by, icon size, grid spacing, text, labels, show info, show icon preview. It's got a whole bunch of different things here to control the way that the documents are on your desktop. The one thing that's easiest to understand is the icon size. And this is a really powerful tool for people like myself. My eyes need bigger icons these days. And so instead of changing the resolution of my screen, I just changed the size of the icons. So this way I can see things without having to strain, and I can read the names of them better. So there's the one thing that you can do just to make your life a little bit easier. The other thing is the sort by here. This is a really powerful tool. So right now you see I've got some random files here. I've got a folder, I've got a video file, a text file, I've got a configuration file and a document. Right now it's sorting those things by name. That's the default that I have mine set to. But I can also choose by kind, and it will rearrange them so that all of the like things together are together. So if I have multiple documents here, and what I'm doing, by the way, is I'm duplicating a document instantly. And so here's your little shortcut key for the day here. If you click on a document or a file, and if you hold down the Option key and click and drag a copy of that document to the left or right, and then release everything, it will make a physical duplicate of that file. And this is awesome when you have an image that you're going to resize, or a document that's filled partially out and you want two versions. You want the original version and you want to make a copy of it and fill out the copy in a different way. That little shortcut right there is awesome. So it's Option, click and drag, and then it will create a duplicate. So now look at this mess I've got, right? I've got all these documents here, and they're sorted right now by kind. I can do sort by name, and it will sort them by name. And if I sort them by kind again, you'll see that it will put all of those documents together, and they're sorted from the oldest to the newest. So let's look at some of these other options for sorting. Last modified, date last opened, date added, date modified, date created. So this is one of my favorites, date created, because sorting by date created tells me immediately how old something is, and I can work with it on the desktop that way. So these sort by options can really, really make your life a lot easier. And one of the things that I said this morning was I said to you guys, I'm going to show you how to use a very simple organizational tool to make it easy to find what you're looking for. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one of these documents. Okay. I'm going to right click just one of them. And I'm going to come down here to the color buttons. And I'm just going to put a red button on that file. Okay. So right click and then choose a color. See, now there's a little checkbox in the red. So now this file has been color coded as red. Now I use a lot of different colors, and I use them for very specific reasons. Because I do a lot of video, all of my video files are red. All of my documents are blue. All of my Word documents, more specifically, all of my PDFs are purple. And what this allows me to do is, in sorting and filtering, I can actually use the tags and the colors to instantly locate things by those. So let's look at your desktop in a different way. I'm going to move this over here and I'm going to hit Command F. Okay. Command F is find. Now notice that I did not have to go down to my Finder window down at the bottom of my screen and click on Finder and then open Finder and then load the search box up here. I just hit Command F from wherever I am. And in this case, it's the desktop. And in that search box, you see now it says it's searching this Mac. It's looking everywhere on my Mac. But I can also search just in the desktop. But I'm going to leave it on Mac and I'm going to type in red. So when I type in red, it's going through my entire database here and it's looking for the word red. If I put a space after the word red, it's going to say, hey, are you talking about a red tag? And I'm going to say, yeah, I am. And there's my red documents. So searching for the word red brought up a gazillion things because it's looking for red in anything. But if I use that box and say, yes, I do want to find all of my red tags, I now am looking at 2 and it's looking my entire Mac. And I know that one of them is on my desktop and one of them is somewhere in another folder. Somewhere? Where is this thing? If you right click the file, there's a show an enclosing folder. And this will tell you I'm here and it will open that file folder. And in this case, it's in my documents folder. Now, this little breadcrumb, they call them across the top, this allows you a lot of very powerful things. So if I use the command key and I click on breadcrumb for documents, it's telling me that it's in iCloud Drive under documents. It actually tells you the path vertically so you can find it. So it's really, really handy to understand how Finder works to locate things you want. So I'm going to go backwards here. I'm going to go all the way back down to the desktop for a second. I'm going to get rid of everything. And I want to impress upon you the ability to use these tags and tools to organize your work. So we know that this document here was tagged in red. We also know that we can arrange this desktop so that we can see everything by file type or kind. So I'm going to choose kind. And I know that all of these documents were versions of that original. So I'm going to select all of these things and I'm going to right click and I'm going to make sure that I choose red for all of those documents. So now they're all red. Now I have a series of documents that are red. In addition, if I take these documents and maybe I'm doing documents for the Smith sale at 123 Main Street. Instead of using red this time, I'm going to uncheck the red and turn them all back to normal. Okay. I'm going to right click these documents and I'm going to come down to tags. And I'm going to choose tags. I'm going to type in 123 Main Street. Street. I'm going to create a tag called 123 Main Street. And now I can come in here and change the color if I want and, don't need to do it, but I can now tag those as 123 Main Street. Now that I've done that, let me just double check to make sure that that tag did take. I want to make sure. Yes. Okay. 123 Main Street did. Yeah. Okay. So now if I go to search for 123 Main Street, I'll go back to a clean area here, Command F, and in my search box, 123 Main Street. And let me go ahead and bring up the tag and I see tags 123 Main Street. And now I have all the documents for that client. Organizing your files doesn't necessarily mean putting them in folders and burying them in the documents folder. Even a messy desktop can still be organized. So using this technique where I said, these are all those copies of those documents, but they're all tagged with 123 Main Street. That one simple thing, if you like your organizational techniques messy, and some people do, some people like to, I put instead of locking these things to a grid Maybe you want to just free them up and so that they can go anywhere. We can do that. And by the way, if you do want to free up this so that the grid doesn't automatically require them to be stuck to that, you can go to the view for this, and let's see, it's under Finder. Boy, now I have to remember where it is. About Finder preferences. Is it preferences? Maybe it's preferences. Nope. Oh, see, now I started something. I should have thought about this more clearly. It's sort by. No, I forgot what it is now. I'll remember it by the time we're done here. But we can unstick this and unstick it to the grid so we can move things around. Okay. And if those of you who are watching, if you remember what it is, because my mind is failing me now, but you can unstick them. So even if they're unstuck and they're all over the place, remember, you can even at any time, you can either hit Command F, or you can come over here to the search bar, and you can do the same thing. So 123 Main Street. And now you can see in here that it's going to show you all your different stuff, including your tags, which is somewhere in the middle, I'm sure. Maybe it's not there. 123 Main Street. Where's my tags? Maybe it doesn't do tags. That's why I'm so used to using this. Command F. That's how I find everything. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about some of the beyond the desktop organization. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks to work within programs. So I'm going to open up my Google Chrome here, and I'm going to go to DocuSign. Okay. And so you'll notice that I'm using Chrome. And one of the things that happens here is as I type, we get this information here about what is, what it's suggesting. So if you start typing and you see what you're looking for, and you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So DocuSign login is the third or fourth one down here. So you can use your down arrow to get to that, what you're looking for. I know that I tend to keep my head down when I type because I'm not really good at typing. So I have to look at the keys, but I have to remind myself, especially if it's a site that I've been to and I'm working with, to look up, because autofill here will automatically take you to the requested area, what you're looking for. So DocuSign here is telling me, go ahead and log in to DocuSign. Now I'm not going to log into this particular one because this has actually got the rooms versus e-signature. But when we come in here and we look at, the screen here, this is actually kind of nice. It's nice and clean. So let's talk about this interface here. Number one, the settings that I have in my Chrome are so that I can always go back to my document home page, which in this case I've set to Fulcrum Transaction Services. You can view the home page by your settings so that you can have the home little icon here. And that's a really powerful tool to help you get from anywhere you need to be back home. So let's say that I want the Google.com here. If I want to set that as my home page, if I go to the three little buttons in the top right of Chrome here, and I don't think I can zoom in on that, but if I go here, you're going to see your settings menu with all of the things that you can do. And one of the settings is settings down at the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on settings here, and it's going to open up the settings dialog for the whole Chrome system here. And so on the left-hand side here, we have you and Google and all this stuff. But what I'm interested in right now, very simply, is on startup, open a new tab page, continue where you left off, or open a specific set of pages or pages. So I'm going to choose this, and I'm going to say use current page. Okay. And that is going to be my Google homepage. So if you are always in command and you want to go to command, or if you want to go to your MLS, you can change what is the home page for Chrome when it starts up. This saves some time if you're always in command or if you're always in the MLS. You can set whatever page it is that you want. And you can do more than just a single page. So let's say, for example, I'll go ahead and leave this setting screen for a moment. So we have google.com here, and let's say I'm going to go to command, and I'm going to go to the Gmail inbox. So I got these 3 things that I want to load up every time that I start this browser. No problem. Bring them all up on the screen and then just make sure they're there. Then go to the 3 dots, choose settings. And in the settings, choose on startup and then use current pages under open a specific page, and it will load all 3 of those pages. Okay. And now every time you close Chrome, I'll actually close Chrome completely. And when I restart Chrome, it's going to say who is logging in, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And I click that one and boom, all 3 pages load. The pages or the tabs in Chrome are also flexible. I don't know if you guys know this, but here's a cool thing. You can take a tab and what we call rip it off. You can rip the tab off the browser and make it its own separate window. And all you have to do is click the tab and drag it away from the browser. And what this does is it gives you 3 windows to work in, and you can do what you need to do. You can also put them back. To put them back, you take the tab itself, not the window that the tab is in, the tab itself, and drag it back to the main window, and it will snap into place, and it will also allow you to move them left or right. Tabs are incredibly powerful. Here's another example of how cool some of the things you can do when you're working in a command, or not in command. Actually, command is a really good example. Let me show that to you because that actually really, there we go, sign in here, and God knows why that's so high. Okay. All right, so we're going to log into command. So in command, let's say you have a transaction that you're working on. Okay. Okay, I'm going to load up. I'll go the old way, and I'll go to opportunities here, and I'll grab an opportunity, just grab anything here, and I'll open that up. So I'm working in this thing. I'm working on the details. I'm working on the documents tab right here, and I see something in here, and I'm like, you know what? I should probably go back and look at this contact itself. Look at Jackie's information. And if you do this and click on go to contacts, it's going to open it up in the same tab, and you're going to lose where you are. So here's a trick. Try this. When you click on something and you see a link to where you want to go, take your left hand and hit command and then click the link. It will open that link in a new tab. And that allows you to have your original tab open and wherever you're going in the other tab. So now you could do the pull them off, and you could reference something in one while working in another. Command clicking any link on the entire internet works like that. So it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a link and you click command, it's going to open that link in a new tab. Okay. So I love that tool, and I think it's one of the most powerful things. What about this? What if you want 2 versions of the same web page to view? So what that means is maybe you're working in here and you want to see this document way down here at the same time that you want to see something that's way up here. Well, you can't because you end up having to scroll. So if you go all the way down here and you're like, oh boy, I wish I could see both of them without having to scroll. No problem. Instead of doing command click, you see this little lock icon to the far left of the address in the address bar? If you take that without clicking any extra keys and just click and drag that to the tab bar, it will open that same page in a new tab. So now you have 2 of the exact pages. And depending on your setup, you can do this little trick, put them side by side, scroll down on one of them and down a little bit on the other, and now you can work side by side. And if it was a drag and drop situation, you can actually drag from one window to another. This is handy if you're doing DocuSign and command at the same time, and you want to make sure that you can see them both and work. So this little trick here makes your life a little bit easier. Okay. All right. So little tools like that. Now, how many of you are using your Bookmarks Toolbar? Okay. John, no, yes, no.
What did you say? What
Your-
toolbar?
Your Bookmarks toolbar in your browser to keep a list of places that you've visited on the web that you want to revisit, your bookmarks.
No, I have not been using it.
Okay. This will be something that will really kind of help you out here. I'm going to do this for you guys in the Zoom room here. It doesn't work to send it over to the Facebook page, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a file into the chat for you. Okay, here we go. Boom. So for those, John and Kylie, and for Sue, there's a new file in the chat box. Okay, so on the chat bar for our conversation, it says new agent bookmarks.html. Grab that and pull it down, and it was automatically going to put that file in your downloads folder. Okay, just so go ahead and click on it and download it. And because you're all running a Mac, the default is that it's going to put it in the download folder. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to, verify that the document is in the downloads folder. So I'm just going to go ahead and close Chrome for a second. Actually, I didn't close it. I minimized it. And I'm going to use Command F on my desktop to open up my desktop. And I'm going to go over to my downloads folder on the left-hand side in the bar. Okay. And you should see in yours, you should see new agents bookmark.html. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Don't double click it. Don't open it. Just let it sit there. I just want to make sure that it's there. Kylie?
I am, this is so strange because I'm on my new iPad. And in our chat, if I go up to the corner, there's nothing in the chat.
Are you looking on the iPad or the computer?
Yeah, I'm on my iPad.
Some of this stuff isn't going to work.
I know. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Like-
but I'm taking notes. So
Okay.
this is
So
totally okay.
I think I might have done yours already, but we're going to go through this.
Yes,
anyway.
I have it. I have it on my PC laptop,
Perfect.
and then I also have MacBooks, and then I have my iPad and all of the things. Yeah. But
Awesome.
It's okay.
Okay, so now that we've just verified this, John, all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close that downloads folder. We don't need it. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to Chrome. Okay. So inside Chrome, and I'll just go ahead and choose my default account here. We're going to go back up to that 3-button menu in the very top left corner. Okay. And we're going to go down to bookmarks, about halfway down. And then we're going to choose about 3/4 of the way down, import bookmarks and settings. You with me, John?
Yep.
Okay.
I see it.
So now that we've done that, this is what we're going to see on the screen. It's an import bookmarks and settings, and it defaults to import bookmarks HTML file. All right. And then all you're going to do is choose file. Okay. And then you're going to see your Finder window. In the Finder window, choose downloads. And you will see new agent bookmarks at the top of the list, right? You good, John?
Yep.
All right.
I do see it.
And go ahead and click open. And what you're going to see is a little thing that says, yep, I did it. You're done. You can click done. And what you now have is a new folder of bookmarks for your Keller Williams navigation. And you'll notice that it comes under a thing called imported, because that's automatic. And then it says bookmarks bar, and then it says KW navigation. So what I want you to do is hover above the folder named KW navigation. And all you're going to do, and watch me before you do it, is you're going to take that folder and you're going to click on the folder name and you're going to drag it up to the bookmarks bar so that it's by itself. And you're going to release it so you now have a folder called KW navigation. And now you have a bunch of the navigation bookmarks that we use, and that's what I do in the trainings, is show you how to get to KW using these tools.
So it'll stay there forever then, huh?
It'll stay there until you remove it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I love about using folders on the navigation toolbar is that you can essentially create projects. And a way to think of it is this. Let's say you're dealing with the Smith sale And there's things in DocuSign, there's things in Command, maybe there's things other places on the web, the listing, there's things that you want to get to. You can organize all of the activities that are on the web into a folder for that project by doing this. Right click on your toolbar, the Bookmarks Toolbar, and choose Add Folder. Okay? And we're going to call this Smith Sale. All right? Real simple. We're going to put that folder on our toolbar so that we have it right here. Now, right now it's empty. So let's go and take some things and put them into this folder so that we can work with that particular transaction all in one go. So I'm going to go to Command. I'll go back to the login and I'm just going to grab a customer. Okay. I don't think I have a Smith in my database, but let's go ahead and see what happens here. All right. Well, that's taking an awful long time to load. Robert, command is down. All right. So I'll go to contacts. And in a contact, I'll just grab the first contact I come across here. So there's Aaron. So this is Aaron Smith for right now. So now I've loaded the page up. Now what I want to do is I don't want to have to navigate back to this person every single time I need to do something, make an activity, make a task, or do a note. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the address bar now. And it says console.command with a bunch of numbers. I'm going to take that lock icon, the same lock icon that I used to get a new tab, but this time I'm going to drag it to the Smith Sale folder and drop it right on top of the folder, and it now adds it to that folder. So now I have instant access to this page with one click every single time. Boom, done. Now, the transaction is under opportunities. So there's one click to get to opportunities. Well, it does look like we have one. So I'll make one really quick. And we'll just do that really quickly. Boom, boom, boom. And I'll create a transaction. And we're going to say that it is a listing. Good. I'm totally cheating here. So now I have my transaction. So I'll go ahead and open that transaction, the opportunity, and I'll open up the Documents tab. And in the Documents tab, I'm going to go ahead and pull a checklist just for the grins. There we go. So now I have my documents. I'm going to take that address from the thing. Now, there's no way you would ever use this. But if we take that and drag it into our Smith Sale, it's right there. Now I have contacts, documents, and it's all for Smith. And let's go ahead and start a transaction in DocuSign. So I'll start up DocuSign. It's going to take me into DocuSign. It's going to let me log into DocuSign. Okay. And by the way, what I'm doing specifically, this is why I do this, because all of this stuff here, I'm going to save time by just making it so that it does it automatically. Okay, so my DocuSign, what is my login for my DocuSign? Yeah, I think it should be there. Ooh. There we go. Okay, so here I am in this area right here. So now I'm going to take that room, which is already directly into the room for this customer, and I'm going to drag that into my Smith Sale folder. So now I have the DocuSign room. And maybe there's an MLS. So if I go to do kw.com and I search for a property really quick, and 123 Main Street, and I'll take West Virginia. I'll take the first thing I come to. So here's the page for that property. Oh, that's a nice one. And I want that. That's the property. So I'm going to take that little icon and I'm going to drag it into my Smith Sale. So now I have the KW or the MLS or whatever I need here. So now here's the cool thing. So I'm going to close all this down. I'm going to hit Chrome and quit Chrome. Done. Now watch this. I'm going to start Chrome. It's going to say, who do you log in as? KWCLM. And I'm going to right click the Smith Sale folder and say open all four. And it's going to open up my login, which I'll just punch once. and I'll go in, punch it again, sign into DocuSign, and all of that's happening in the background. Load it in, and there's the MLS. And so now I have the contact, the documents, the DocuSign room, and the MLS, or whatever it is that you're working on.
Wow.
But you're
Super
now
cool.
pulled it into a single folder. And here's the best thing. So the Smith sale closes on Friday. Fine. When the Smith sale closes, you right click and say delete. And that folder is off of your desktop or off of your browser, and it's cleared out of your way. But the next one is right next to it. It's the Johnson folder, and it's got all of Johnson's stuff. So when you're working, you can just go in here and say, oh, you know what? Smith called. I better open up everything here and now work on that for the next hour. Really, really a fast way to create projects in Chrome to work on. And if you think about it, I mean, I've got 4 little super goofy examples here. It could be anything because we live on the web now. There's very little that actually happens on our computers. And because of that, this was a fast way to work. Okay. All right. So those are some really cool, some tips for you there. And boy, oh my God, the time is already 4 o'clock. I have so much more I want to share with you. Okay, I'm going to share this one more thing with you. I'm going to close Chrome and I'm going to restart it because I want to show you something about your profiles in Chrome. So I'll start Chrome again from scratch. And here's what I get. It says, who's using Chrome? Chrome has the ability to compartmentalize profiles. They are completely independent of each other. And there's also a guest mode if somebody's on your computer and you don't want them to accidentally run into your emails and see what's in your emails. You can add as many profiles as you need. Keller Williams has a managed profile that you're using for your Gmail, for your account. But you might also have your personal profile, which has its own set of rules, passwords, bookmarks, everything. So we know that this KWCLM profile that I was using a moment ago has the bookmarks for the Smith file. This one over here on the far right, the Robert Vincent, this does not. When I click on Robert Vincent, there's no bookmarks in here. This is totally separate. In fact, all of the passwords for this profile are locked in this profile. Nothing crosses over to the KWCLM profile or the agent profile. This is a great way for you to keep your worlds separate. So you have your private browsing with all your favorite YouTube channels and all your Lifetime movies and all that stuff. And then you have your business profile, which only talks business. To switch between them, once you're in Chrome, up in the top right, there's a little button that's right next to those 3 dots that we were looking at. This is the profile switcher. When you click on that, you can switch between the other profiles that are on your system. Now watch what happens when I switch from this Robert Vincent profile to the KWCLM profile. It's going to open up a separate window. These 2 browsers that are running right now don't know that the other one exists. So this green one is for KWCLM, where this one is personal. And this keeps your worlds separate so that if you've got kids, create profiles for the kids. This way, you make sure that you go into your profile so you don't mess around with my work bookmarks. I don't want you playing around with that. And I don't want any of your goofy videos showing up when I'm trying to show a client in a Zoom meeting something. All right. So this really can organize your world so that you keep your stuff that's personal, which can be a mess. I don't care about that, versus your nice, clean, organized KWCLM stuff. Okay. So here's the best part about this. I'm going to show you this one more thing. I'm going to switch over to this profile, which is the one with the actual bookmarks. And I'm going to show you one of my favorite things about Chrome. If you don't know what the password is to log into something, if you go to the top button that we're talking about for your profile icon, right below your name, there's a key. And when you click the key, it's going to take you to the passwords that are stored for that profile. So all of them are here, and it's got a ton of them, okay? To search your passwords, just type in here, and I'm not going to do that, but if you type in, it will show you the names that are related to that. Now, whether it be your username, whether it be the website that you go to or whatever. And then to view the password, I'll click the eyeball to the right of the password. And when you do that, you'll be prompted to enter your system password to open that dialog. And then you'll be able to check what it is. Your passwords, if you're saving them, are always going to be in this area here. Again, off of your profile icon and then the key. You can't get there faster. So I absolutely love that, to be able to manage your passwords. And a lot of times I see people shuffling around papers, and I get it. You don't want to keep the passwords on the computer, and that's totally fine. But if you do keep your passwords on the computer, this is the fastest way to get to them for each of your profiles. Pretty cool. Okay. Tons of stuff. I want to show you one last. There's so many things. I could do this forever. When you are working in your folders, and what I mean by that is your Finder window, there are several different views that you can create. Okay. Icons, list, columns, and gallery. You're never going to use gallery. Gallery sucks. Gallery is stupid. So don't bother with that. But you can go to list view, and in list view, you have all of these columns that you can now see. You can add columns by right-clicking at the top column header, and you can add columns here. One of the columns that I always have visible in my working computer is date created. If I always have this here, I can sort by oldest to newest instantly by clicking on this header here. And in fact, I can click and drag that header to the left so that it's the primary one. I use created and modified more than anything else. The other thing that's nice is to be able to sort it by kind. So if I'm looking for a PDF document, just clicking sort by kind puts all my PDF documents together. And then if I'm looking for the red one, there it is. Using these columns to help you find what you're looking for. I'm not a big fan of using the icon view. It's very confusing because it shows you the preview of all the things. I don't like column view because column view requires that you understand folder and then objects in a folder and all that stuff. I like list view. I never use gallery view. And in list view, we can see everything that we need to see. Oh, let me go back and switch back to the main one here. Documents and list view. This makes things a lot easier to find what you're looking for. But the number one thing I want you guys to take away is tag your files. So if all of these files are for the Smith thing, right click all those files and say tag. And this is for the Smith House Epping. Done. Now, they don't even have to have colors. And all you need to do up here is Smith. And when you choose that, you're going to see your tags. Boom. There's all the Smith files for Epping. And the beauty of that, as I mentioned, you don't even have to move the files. Notice how I didn't talk about putting things in folders? Because not all of us think organize my folders like a file cabinet. I get it. Use the tags and your life will change. All right, I'm going to stop because I'll just keep going. Do you guys have any questions about things that you would like to see?
I think I maybe thought of one which would involve, just out of curiosity, between having the different devices, you mentioned iPads, MacBook, Apple phone, and iPhone. When you were going through some of those different options and creating those different files, would that be something that would work on your phone when you're using Chrome? And let's say you quickly you're going to a closing and you needed to get Smith House Epping, will that all be like...
Okay, so the phone doesn't have much of a file management system, right?
Okay, I didn't think so,
but your iPad does. Okay. So if you're using an iPad, this is a little beyond where we can go today, but I will tell you the basics of it. The iPad has a thing called Files. Okay. And if you've got the newer iPad,
Yep.
there's a storage thing called Files. And what's nice about that is you can drop files from your Mac to your iPad by using AirDrop.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So AirDrop,
Big fan.
AirDrop here. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. Siri is trying to think I'm talking to her and I'm not.
My watch says that to me all the time.
So if you open up AirDrop, it will see what's around you. And then literally, there's all the stuff that's sitting around me, right? So I've got the iPad right here. Okay, so if I wanted to send one of those files to my iPad, so if I go back to my documents here, my downloads, or was it documents? I think it was in documents. Well, I'll just take this. If I want to take one of these files, the JPEG here, I can just literally drag it to the iPad and
An AirDrop.
bing, 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 and it just lit up. And there it is. It'll just show right up. So that's cool. Do you know what the newest version of your Mac OS is? Remember I was talking about how mine is now 12.3?
Yeah. I always have to, like, after I've had an update, I always have to go to like my settings menu and be like, okay, what one am I running right now?
Well, on your Mac, the actual laptop, if it's running 12.3, start to play around with that concept of universal control. I can't wait to get into that. Oh, that's going to be so fun. Yeah. But yeah, and here's another thing that you can do. If you have people that are around you, you can not only do the AirDrop, but you can also use Share to send it to messages, to mail, and all those things. So you can quickly send them that way.
Very cool.
Cool. All right, there's so many things to do, so many things to have fun with. If you guys have any productivity questions that you'd like to ask me, shoot me an email. And for those of you online watching, thank you very much. And for you guys here, thanks for joining me. I hope you guys got some good stuff. There's a million more things that we can talk about. We'll probably do this class again, and I'll add some more because I just love talking about it.
It's super cool.
Awesome. All right, you guys have a great day. And that's it for Tech Tuesdays. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thank you so much. Did a great job.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.